Hi, it's Jen from Navigating Baby Loss, and today I'm wondering if you're asking yourself the same impossible, painful question I asked myself 100 times over. Why did my baby have to die? And if your heart is heavy with guilt, confusion, or anger, then this conversation is for you. Today, we're talking about something I don't think gets talked about nearly enough, and that is survivor's guilt after stillbirth. That feeling that somehow it should have been different, or that maybe you did something wrong, or even worse, that you were spared while your baby wasn't. Why was I allowed to live when my baby wasn't? That weight is one that so many of us carry, but feel really afraid to say it out loud. It's a hard thing to say out loud, but I thought about it too. So today we're going to say it out loud and walk through why these feelings show up, how normal they are, and most importantly, how you can begin to understand them. And as always, I want to help you learn how to loosen the grip of these feelings without ever letting go of the love for your baby, because we know that's not possible. So let's start here. If you've ever looked around and thought, why me? Or maybe more often, why not them? You're not alone. I remember going through the mall after I lost my twins and I saw a mom with a newborn in a stroller. She looked exhausted, a little frazzled, maybe even almost complaining, like she hadn't slept in days. I felt this overwhelming mix of emotions, which I know you understand: jealousy, guilt, anger, grief, all wrapped up in one. The question that was stuck in my head, and I just felt so terrible for thinking it, was why does she get to have her baby? And why didn't I get to keep mine? What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Why does she get to have that and I don't? And it's not that I didn't want that mom to have her baby. It's just that I couldn't understand why I couldn't have mine, why my babies had to die. So maybe you've asked that too. Maybe you're wondering what you did wrong, or even begged for some kind of a sign or answer that never came. And that is called survivor's guilt. It's the feeling that something terrible happened. And even though it wasn't your fault, you somehow make yourself responsible. You are sure that you are feeling responsible. And especially for stillbirth moms, because it happened in our body. The most critical sign of survivor's guilt might be the feeling that you're undeserving of life when your baby's life ended. Now, I do want to say, if these feelings are really crippling you, if you never have times when you are thinking of harming yourself, please get help. It's a form of shock and heartbreak, and you're trying to make sense of something that makes no sense at all. One mom I worked with said to me, I keep thinking that I should have known. I should have done something different. I should have asked more questions or gone in sooner. Okay, to be honest, it was more than one mom that's ever said that to me. And that word should, it shows up over and over again in grief. Should have, could have, would have. And I would say grief of any kind, where you get those thoughts that come in your head. But here's what I want you to hear from me today. Are you ready? You did not cause this. Even if you feel like your body failed or your instincts didn't make you take action quick enough, or you just knew that something felt off but dismissed it, you did not cause it. And you did not deserve this. The statistics of moms who blame themselves after a stillbirth are reported to be 34%, although I would argue that it's much higher. There's a cruel illusion that if we can find the reason, the cause, the mistake, then we can prevent it from ever happening again. And that's why guilt feels so protective. If it's our fault, then the next time we can control it. But that's not how this works. Stillbirth often has no clear explanation, and even when there is one, it's rarely something that was visible, fixable, or certainly preventable. That doesn't stop you from blaming yourself, but it's not the truth. So let me say this again. The guilt you feel might feel real, but it doesn't mean it's true. So let's talk about what this guilt sounds like, because it doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just whispers. Sometimes it sounds like, I shouldn't laugh today. Or what's wrong with me for laughing? Or how can I be happy when my baby never got to live? I remember that one. That was one of my go-tos. Or I feel awful that I'm breathing right now and they're not. Like it's so unfair. All of that is survivor's guilt too. And it shows up in ways that can keep you from doing the very things that bring healing. It doesn't always just stay in your thoughts. Sometimes it shows up in the way you treat yourself, even if you don't realize it. Some moms I work with describe feeling like they're pushing themselves without even knowing why. Like they don't deserve to feel good or take care of themselves or feel peace in their body. That's what survivor's guilt can do. It tells you that because your baby didn't survive, you don't get to thrive either. And that can lead to all types of self-sabotage, like overeating to numb the pain, over drinking just to fall asleep or forget for a while, using substances to quiet the mental noise, ignoring your body completely, skipping meals, not showering, staying in bed all day, or just losing the energy to do the very things that might make you feel better because deep down, you don't think you deserve it. Sometimes we convince ourselves that feeling terrible is what we're supposed to do, that it's like a legacy to our baby, and it's the only way to prove that we loved our baby enough. And I get it, but you don't need to punish yourself to prove your love. Your love is real, it's permanent. By you honoring your own life, even in the smallest of ways, it doesn't take away from their memory. If anything, it carries it forward. So if any of this sounds like you, it doesn't mean you're doing grief wrong. It means your pain is overwhelming. It means you're human. And it means you deserve more support, not shame. So if you've been in that cycle of self-neglect or self-sabotage, this is your gentle invitation to stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what am I carrying that's too heavy to hold alone? Because that's where healing begins. How do we live with this kind of guilt? How do we make peace in a world that let our baby die while others live? We don't fix it overnight, but we start by talking about it, naming it, giving it some air. And then we start replacing guilt with truth. This is what I teach my clients. When a painful thought shows up, it's there. You just have to give it equal airtime with something else. For example, if your mind says, I must have done something wrong, you can respond with, but I did the best I could with what I knew, and I loved my baby every second I had them. If the thought is, why me? You can offer back, I don't know why this happened, but I know it doesn't mean I deserved it. If your thought is, I shouldn't feel better yet, it's too soon. You can remind yourself, feeling a little bit better doesn't mean I'm forgetting anything. It means I'm still loving them while also healing. We need to stop comparing our grief. Stop looking at who has it worse or better. Your pain is valid, period. This is not a competition for who suffered most. You lost your baby. That's enough. Another mom I worked with told me that every time she smiled, she felt like a stab of guilt, like she was betraying her daughter's memory by having even a second of joy. So together we worked on something simple for her to come back at it with. And every time she smiled, she whispered her baby's name. She told her, this is for you too. And little by little, she stopped feeling guilty for living. She started feeling like she was including her daughter in her joy, not leaving her behind. And you can do that too. It just takes practice, giving yourself permission, and someone reminding you that you're allowed to keep going. If you need that, I'm doing it right now. If you feel guilty, it just means your heart is broken and it's trying to protect you, but you don't have to carry that heavy weight. If no one's told you this today, your baby's life mattered, and so does yours. You deserve to heal not because you're forgetting your baby, but because their life deserves to be remembered with love. not just pain. And if you're ready for some extra support, I want you to know I have a free video series called Why No One Understands Your Pain After Stillbirth. It helps you make sense of those confusing reactions from people around you and gives you gentle ways to start feeling understood again. You can find the link in the show notes. But no matter what, please know you're not alone. This guilt doesn't define you and it doesn't have the final say. You're a brave, loving, grieving mother, and there is still a life ahead for you that honors your baby and your healing. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You are doing so much better than you think.